What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Hope you're all doing well today, and boy oh boy do we have a lot to cover in this one. This is Cortland Dunes slash Cortland Enduro, created by a typical Canadian. This is his second ever track that he's made, but this is actually a replica of Gopher Dunes in Canada. Now, we've got a main track here, which is a replica of, I think it's the 2019, there's a two-stroke event that goes on here that TC said this was like based off of. And then if we look off into the woods here, very hard to see in amongst all the trees, there is a super long enduro track, which has something very unique that I've never seen before. If I go and zoom right in here, you will see we've got a lot of like waterlog sections. However, all of this has soft collisions on, so it feels like you're bogged down in super deep mud, so it's like a swampy type vibe. So that is super cool too. And then something that isn't raceable, unfortunately, which I have also already spun like 2 or 3 laps on, which is hella fun, is just a tiny little supercross track here. I'm not sure if this is just TC doing his own thing, if there is any of this at Gopher Dunes IRL, I have no idea. But track, supercross track, enduro track, let's get into it. Right, so the actual track that I've loaded into here on testing is the enduro track, so we're going to save that until last. What I'm going to do quickly, because it's the smallest track in the entire, let's just call it compound, even though it's probably not meant to be described as compound. Let's just do this little supercross track. I actually have really enjoyed it so far. I've done a handful of laps. It's very straightforward, nice and easy. I'm on the KTM 450 today. I know people have started asking if I can mention what bike it is that I'm running. The skin itself that's on the bike is not public, for those of you that are asking. It's a McCreations team skin. Obviously, the team that I'm on, made by McChicken, so not publicly available to download, unfortunately. As you can see here, just very simple sections, doubles and on-offs, and we don't really get many sand supercross tracks at all. This whole compound is sand. I am rocking the sand tyres for this as well. I've got the 80 sand tyre on the front, and then the 120 sand tyre on the rear, and after a lot of debate, I've realised that that kind of feels like the right way to go. They're a lot better on the straights. They allow you to carry a lot more momentum. The only place that they do tend to struggle on is on like fully flat ground. If you're in a rut or you're on a berm, it's absolutely fine, no issue at all. It's when you're on the flat stuff that it gets a little bit difficult. I just want to see if I could step over that, but I kind of ran out of real estate there. But as you can see, a very short, very easy supercross track. There's no timing gates available at all for this supercross track, which is why I'm just very briefly touching on it. This is meant to be the main attraction right here. As I said in the intro, this is a replica of a 2019 version of Gopher Dunes. And typical Canadian has said to me that he's made it a little bit wider than it is in real life to make it a bit more MX Bikes friendly. And in the 2 laps I've spun around it so far, even on a 450, you can carry a whole lot of momentum. 1 or 2 places where I keep forgetting that it's like a roller, because I think a lot of the jumps here are quite blind. You know, they're quite built up, they're quite high, you can't see over the other side of them. So I always forget which ones I need to send and which ones I need to roll. I think this is a big sender, and then the one around here to the left I need to check up on. There's a very sharp right-hander after it. Oh my Christ. You have to bear with me if I have any extremely wonky moments. I am on completely stock KTM at the moment, which is not usually my bike of choice. I just fancied running some orange today. I have no idea why, but screw it, we're doing it anyway. What I can tell you from this track so far, off of the very brief impressions I've had, is it all kind of flows and links together really well. There's 1 or 2 like doubles through rollers in corners that work really nicely. If you can kind of stand up on the pegs and rail most of the track, you'll be having quite a fun time. It's like there's a 1 roller here which I'm always contemplating if I can jump it and land like almost on this plateau. Haven't quite managed to get there just yet, and there's nothing overly difficult about this track. It's very beginner friendly, especially if you're someone who kind of wants to dabble in sand. Maybe you played the MXGP of Sardinia after I'd done a video on it the other day, and maybe you thought, oh god, this track is way too overkill, I want something a little bit more tame. Then maybe you want to go in this direction. And the Canadian National Motocross Series is something that isn't actually foreign to me, believe it or not. I know it's very random, but I remember back in the day, granted it's been a good few years since I've watched any of it, but I remember way back when watching, I want to say it was just on TV, here in the UK, which is really, really odd because we never get any of the American motocross. But I've seen people racing at Gopher Dunes. I've seen, I couldn't tell you what other races there are, but I remember watching people like Jean-Sebastian Ra and people like Dusty Clapp, Colton Fasciotti are people that just come to mind. So quite a few years ago, you know, quite old school stuff. I remember. I think Dusty Clapp back in the day used to run both classes like in a day. He used to do 250s and 450s. Just hop off of one, hop on another, and go out again, which is actually nuts. I have no clue how he ever had the stamina or endurance to do that, but absolute madman. And one of my favourite things about the Canadian nationals was always the commentators. They always make things like a lot more lively. I'm going to be hella cringe right now. I'm going to do my best impression, but anytime the gate would drop and there'd be a whole shot, I'm guessing it was sponsored by a company called like Royal Distributing or Royal Distributors. There's always like, oh, there's Colton Fasciotti with the Royal Distributing whole shit, and it's just one of them things that kind of, as a spectator, just perks you up and gets you excited and interested in the racing a bit more. Now, I watch like the American Supercross, for example, with various other people, and it's always like you kind of get bored of. It is made for casual viewers. I get that, but some of the commentary on that stuff is just so damn boring. You know, the amount of if I took a shot every time I heard someone say you need to ride with a bit more intensity, or every time Ricky said, and to your point, I would probably not be alive anymore. I think my liver would have completely given up on me. It just feels very repetitive, and it's not like super engaging. I love when we get Bubba on because he just, even though obviously him and Ricky have been there and been around the same amount of time and done very similar things, I feel like Bubba is a lot more intelligent with how he comes across and how he explains stuff, whereas I think Ricky is very TV friendly, which he has to be fair. I know it's his job. It's just not my thing. I like things to be hyped up a little bit more. And oh my god, when I see the science of Supercross explained, that really hurts my brain sometimes. I feel like it's so damn boring. But I digress. We're getting a little bit off topic here. Let's talk about this track, and you can see in the background there's nothing difficult about it at all, which normally would bore me, but I think the hardest thing about this track is choosing what lines you want to take. I think once you've got your lines dialed and you're flowing from corner to corner, jump to jump, if you're apexing things really nicely, like there for example, I could have doubled over that roller then had a better run through these ones. Some of the outsides seem a little bit void, like they feel like you don't need to take them because they're so far out. I'm going to send this, probably crash, but wish me luck. No, survive. No, okay, yeah. Didn't think I was going to survive that. So maybe that line is not really doable. I don't think so. But I think you could throw any CC bike on this track, and you would probably have quite a good, enjoyable time. The insides do seem a little bit OP, if I'm honest. They seem to be the way forwards. I don't think there's any downsides of hugging the tight inside ruts anywhere. It's not like there's any absolutely huge jumps that you need to try and stretch. So, for example, if there was a massive, say, 100-foot tabletop, like straight out of a corner, I could understand, okay, maybe I don't want to go on the inside here anymore, I should stick to the outside. It's a very wide track, as TC mentioned. He made it a bit wider than real life to just make it suit MX bikes a bit more, which I think the more casual players are going to absolutely love. I think the more wide and, I was going to say wide and wide open, they're basically the same thing. Yeah, the faster track is, I think the more people tend to enjoy it. So I do think this is probably going to be up there in terms of like fan favourites. I really do. I can see this going down incredibly well. But let me take a little bit of a detour. I'm going to crash here. No? Okay. Thank you very much, Sir Piboso. So we're going to take a detour here. Now, I want to put the map on real quick so you can see how big this enduro track is. And the one thing that I'm scared of is, because there's no timing gates as such, I don't know which direction this is meant to go in. So I'm going to say in advance, TC, if I do go the wrong way around this track, I really do apologise. What I'm doing right now is I'm making a beeline for what is essentially like the start. If you can see on the map in the top right, there's a tiny little like yellow line, which I believe should take me to where the actual start of a lap is. And I'm hoping I can work it out from there. So if we come... Oh, actually, we do have starting gates. Okay, I'm a complete fool. So it looks like you can get 40 people on here, and it would be silly for me to go that way. So I'm guessing the start is right here. I guess ignore me. When I loaded up in testing, I had no idea that there was actual starting gates there. So maybe I need to start doing these things in races instead. Oh, does that... That seems hella dangerous. Holy. We're doing crossing back and forth over the same line like that. You imagine just getting absolutely side punted. That'd be nuts. So I've done about half of this track so far, just to make sure everything's all good before I press the record button. So all of this bit here is new to me. It's unfamiliar. But if it matches the theme of the rest of it that I have done, then the sandy parts are kind of like nice rolling doubles and triples. You can stay in a rhythm basically the entire way round. Got some good ruts to hold us in the corners as well. And then there's like a more swampy area, which is actually deceptively hard to ride through. Because if anybody's ever done Supercross, for example, and you go through like a hay bale or tough block, you'll know that it kind of it drags you down, like it slows you down. It makes your it kind of resists the bike a little bit, but it won't make you crash. It'll just almost pull you down to a stop, and that's what we call like a soft collision rather than a hard collision. So that is what he's put over the entirety of the swamp section. And the only other place that I've ever seen do it, or only other track that I've seen do or have that similar idea in this game, is Resolute Kraken's indoor enduro cross track. He also has a water section that slows you down like this, and you can see that it really saps all of the bike's speed away from it. So you have to be very precise, because you'd think, oh, the bike's just going slower, so surely it's easier to turn and control. It's not the case. As soon as you shut off the throttle or you try turning, the bike reacts a lot differently to normal. It's like it just tries to yank the bike from side to side. And this is the part that I have done. You can see I'm quite aggressive on the throttle here, and it's sliding all over the place. Very, very difficult to get through. And there's some longer sections as well. But I don't know if it's just my enduro bias speaking, because as you know, I am a massive fan of anything enduro in the majority of motocross games. But this is some really, really cool shit. I really, really enjoy seeing stuff like this. And I'm kind of confused as to what I want to focus this whole place on, because you got, from my point of view, when I'm making videos and recording it, usually there's like a main theme for a video, and I can base the thumbnail or the title on that. And oh my god, the bike won't move. Go! I also love the split lanes everywhere too. That adds some more line diversity. But yeah, it's hard to do. So there's 3 completely different aspects to this whole place. So the motocross track is really good in its own right. I think all of you Canadians that have ever been to or ridden at Gopher Dunes, you'll be able to give me some good feedback on that, and feedback for TC as well. I know he watches these videos, on how you think he's done with it. He said that it was based off of a 2019 layout of the track. For you enduro guys, this isn't like, there isn't this enduro track there at all. This is all custom made by TC. So you need to let me know if you enjoy this sort of track, because I really, really do, especially with these added obstacles of swampy areas. I think it makes the enduro stuff not as monotonous, because if you get a super long lap, say it was all just doubles around the entire track like this, I imagine it'd get boring after a while. So having them swamp elements really does just mix things up a bit. Oh, hitting the fakie on them. Jeez! I'm pulling out all of the techers today. And then the Supercross track, whilst it's very, very short, it's actually incredibly well built. And it being sand is something that is very, I wouldn't say unique, I just think many people haven't done it. Let's switch up lines. We don't want to follow the same line the whole way. There we go. And then we go back across each other again. That could be hella sketchy, especially if you just get a full 40-man gate and everyone's switching back and forth over each other. I imagine there could be some carnage in there, but that all adds to the fun. Reminds me of a game called, oh, what was it called? Might be Demolition Derby. It was like an old PS2 game, I think, back in the day. And you'd do like figure of 8 tracks around there and just absolutely annihilate people, or get annihilated by the CPUs. Yeah, obviously PS2, no online back then, so all against the CPUs. But I'm actually really happy with this. And the track, I've been told the track comes out on the 21st. I think the video is going out on the 21st for you. However, it's going to be going out at 8 AM my time in the UK. So when it actually releases for the US, for example, I don't actually know. So keep your tabs open, have a look on MX Bike Shop, keep refreshing every now and then, and the track should be with you at some point today. And I just wanted to give a massive thank you to both TC and Nico for making it possible for me to have the track a little bit early to show off for you guys. I think it's been a little while since I've been able to use that YouTuber privilege, and This actually looks hella pretty as well. I didn't see this like lake crossing before, but it looks very, very nice. I think comparing this whole place to TC's original track they made, which was called The Warehouse, which consisted of an arena cross track, a sand track, and an enduro cross track, whilst I really enjoyed those individual aspects on that track too, I think this just blows it all out of the water. It's so nice. It's super pretty. The decals used are really nice. This water here doesn't actually have that swampy type of collision. That's the word I'm looking for. I don't know why that just escaped my mind. So it's just like a normal water crossing, which is quite cool. So it really emphasises that the swamp is super, super deep mud. And we're coming up to the end of the lap here, and I don't have a whole lot to say other than give it a go. It's kind of something for everyone on here, unless maybe you're more of a free rider, you like your freestyle stuff, then not sure what else to suggest for you there. But if you're enduro, supercross, motocross, sand in general, then this could be it for you. Where on earth does, or is this just if you overshoot it? There's some very interesting bits here that kind of go back and forth across each other, but I kind of like that it does replicate IRL quite a lot. I imagine if the main line gets a little bit too buck wild, a bit too deep, then people will venture off kind of around different trees, slightly off course. Not cutting the track by any means, but just taking some more imaginative lines. It definitely wouldn't be the first time I've seen some enduro riders take some unintended lines. Like the amount of enduro GoPros I've watched, whether it be someone like Johnny Walker or Graham Jarvis, they're always trying to find this little sneaky way through, especially when there's lots of traffic. So I think he's done a brilliant job on this. I am a big fan, and you should definitely check it out. If you have enjoyed this video, please do drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, I would greatly appreciate it. Have a lovely rest of the day, whatever you're up to, and I'll catch you in tomorrow's video. Peace.